out loud here. Okay, so let's see. Let's just do a quick sound test. If everyone can hear me, please let me know.
Sounds good.
Okay, and I think live on Facebook too. I think I pressed some wrong buttons here. Okay, here we go. All right. So where is my screen? My apologies. It's just my first time teaching. So thank you very much for your patience. Let's see here. And if I have any problems with the sound, please let me know. Please don't be shy. Just shout it out. And if you have any questions, again, don't be shy about interrupting me. Just please let me know. Okay, so hello everyone to class number 11. Please be advised, next week will be the last class for level 1. A reminder that the scholarship program of Neichan Safora contains 3 levels. So you're going to be completing level 1 and you'll have 2 more to go. So we hope to see you on level 2. Let me introduce myself again. My name is Valerie and I am the translator. However, today I am filling in for Tamachtiani Hector, who is currently on his way to El Salvador, where he'll be staying there for a few days. He will be hosting 2 special presentations of the very first Nahuatl dictionary, Tahtagetsalis, written by a native Nahuatl speaker, Nansing Sixta, who many of you already know. These presentations will take place in his hometown of Cojutepeque and in the city of Suchitoto. We wish them all the best, a successful event, and safe travels back home. I'm sure the Timu Mashtigan Nahuatl team will share plenty of pictures and videos with us upon their return. With the Timu Mashtigan Nahuatl team expecting a large turnout at the event, they'll be using plenty of plural forms, just like we're going to be discussing today in our lesson, forming plurals. Now, in the Nahuatl culture, this is very interesting. It's a very interesting topic because in Nahuatl, there are 6 or 7 ways of forming plurals. But the majority of the time in Nahuatl, we're using the singular form. So what is the purpose of forming plurals? The purpose is to emphasize that something is abundant. So I'll give you an example. So this is how it usually works in Spanish. If you've been there in El Salvador, when you go to the farmer's market, the vendors, they advertise their produce by literally saying, we have tomato, pepper, we have onion, potato. The vendors don't use the plural form. We do in English, but in El Salvador and in Nahuatl, they usually don't. So another example, in El Salvador or in the Nahuatl community, they'll say, oh, I'm going to use a rainbow trout, which is a type of fish that you usually find in the river. So they'll say, oh, there's rainbow trout in the river. They're using the singular form, not the plural. But we do understand that they mean there's rainbow trouts living in the river. So rainbow trouts would be the plural form, but in Nahuatl, they would say rainbow trout. I did not use the word in English, fish, because fish is both singular and plural in English. So that would not have been a good example. That's why I used the rainbow trout. So to reiterate, in Nahuatl, we usually speak in the singular form. And we use the plural form when necessary, when we want to emphasize, like really, really emphasize that something is abundant. So it's important that we know how to form plurals, okay? At this point in your Nahuatl class, you already know most of the ways to form plurals, but today we're going to explore some new methods and we're presenting them all to you officially in one class. We're going to start the class with a quick review on how to conjugate verbs. Tamachtiani mentioned that there's a 2-hour video available on his YouTube channel explaining in detail on how to conjugate verbs, which you're welcome to check out. In the WhatsApp group, when we're done this class, if you're having trouble finding this YouTube channel, anything like that, please let me know and I'll include the link in our chat group. So because he really encourages everyone to check out that video because it goes into more detail on how to conjugate transitive and intransitive verbs. So in now what, again, we have transitive and intransitive verbs. How do you identify which is which? So let's look at transitive verbs. These verbs have a hyphen, so this is super helpful. Can anyone see the cursor, my mouse cursor, where I'm saying
Yes.
Pia? Okay, perfect. So this is a dead giveaway that it's a transitive verb. It'll have a hyphen. Also, transitive verbs answer the question what. So when you use these verbs, they need a complement in addition to complete the sentence. So in this example, we see the verb pia, which means, oh, sorry, did anyone have a question? No. Oh, okay. So for example, with the verb pia, it means to have. If I were to say in English, I have, well, it would be an awkward conversation, to be honest, because you, as a listener, you're going to be expecting me to tell you what it is that I have, right? It doesn't make sense to just say, I have. Well, the same applies in now what? You need to add a complement to complete the sentence. So we can see in the picture here, we see a girl with a black cat. So she would say, I have a black cat. See, so the black cat is the complement to the verb pia. Okay. So in the picture, let's see here. So on this slide, you see the formula that Damachtiani has provided to all of us on how to conjugate a transitive verb. So let's look at it a little closer. So we have our pronouns, right? So we have naha, taha, yaha, tehemit, and mehemit, yehemit. Then we have the suffix. So the suffix would be ni, pi, gi, ti, and then angi, and then gi. So with the plural ones, the plural pronouns, it's a little bit different because they have the T's at the end. This is what they have in common. Another thing to look at the formula is it has the letter K is basically the object indicator. So this is basically the the object marker. That's the proper term. It's the object marker, and it's basically saying what the complement is. So the literal translation of what you see here on the slide, okay, so nahanik pia. So here I'm going to pronounce each one. So it's nahanik pia, tahatik pia, yahagi pia, tehemetik piat, and mehemet angipiat, yehemet gipiat. So when you're using the plural forms, we have to make sure that we're pronouncing the T's at the end. So the literal translation for this one with the verb pia is basically, I have it, right? I have it, the cat. You have it, the black cat. He, she has it, the black cat. That's the literal translation. We have it, the black cat. You, and Mehemed, which is the you in the plural form. You have it, the black cat. And finally, they have it, the black cat. Okay. So now we're going to look at another verb, and that is negi. So negi has two translations. It means to love or to want. There is another verb in Nahuatl which means to love, but negi. So if you guys also speak Spanish, negi would be querer, because it means to want, and it also means to love. So that this would be the perfect translation, negi. So again, with negi, if you say I love, well, what is it that you love? We need a complement, right? So it follows the same rule. So nahanik negi, tahatik negi, yahagi negi, tehemetik negit, and meheme anginegit, yeheme ginegit. Okay. So again, the literal translation is I love it, you love it, he, she loves it, we love it, you plural form love it, they love it, followed by a complement. So, I love it, the black cat, just following from the previous picture.
I have a
Okay,
question,
sure, go right ahead.
which may be best answered somewhere else, sometime else, it's fine.
Mm,
So this K is marking what the complement will be.
correct.
So, right, in this case, it's like an accusative marker, it's an object. So
Mhm.
can you give an example of a transitive verb that would not have an object marker?
Uh, no, this one it does. Because in now what, when you say I love, this one, I believe the other verb to love is an intransitive verb.
So,
Intransit. Yeah.
my question, I guess, is that all transitive verbs should
Mhm.
have this marker then, right?
Correct. They do. Yeah.
Okay.
So if we look at, let's compare it to Pia, right? So we have Nick, the letter K, that is the object marker. And then if we go to Negi, again, it has the letter K, which is the object marker. So in this example, we can use the cat as a complement, right? So I would say Nahanik Negi Tiltik Mistun, right? So it's like, I love it, the black cat. And the reason why I'm saying love it, the black cat, is because one of the things that Damachiani has said about the Nahuatl language is it's redundant, it's repetitive. See, in English, you would just say, I love it. And it is the complement, right? It's saying that you love something. We don't know what it is, but we know that it's something because it is the object marker. But in
I
now what
have,
it's like, oh, sure, go ahead.
sorry, I have a lot of questions, I guess.
Mm-hmm,
I know we have the T complement or the T plural marker for the plural subjects.
mm-hmm.
Will something else also happen for plural objects, or is it just the case
So,
that it's the complement?
so for the plural pronouns, this is the suffix D. The K is the object marker. And then the T is you place it at the end of the verb. The letter T is not an object marker. It's just a suffix. It's basically to help us visually see which one is coming from a plural pronoun. Because if you notice, tehemit, if you don't add the T at the end, it's going to look like taha, tahatik negi,
Yes.
tehemit, right? See, so if we don't add the T, someone who's reading now what, they're going to say, wait, who are you talking about? Are you talking about we or are you talking about you? Right? So to differentiate between the two, you add the letter T at the end.
So
Yes.
sorry,
Mm-hmm, mm-hmm.
Valerie.
Yeah.
So the T is talking about which one? Who? Like them
So
or us?
tehemit is we, and mehemit is you, the plural form. And then yehemit is they.
I know, but I think I just need you to say again. So
Mm-hmm,
Tehemet D plus the object marker being K, and then
mm-hmm. Then the
could you just
verb.
say that again? And then
Sure,
the
sure.
verb.
Mm-hmm.
So
Oh,
and then the verb is negi, and then the T at the end is the suffix.
correct. So the
And
T,
then, okay, yeah,
so here where the cursor is, so the T is a suffix, so is the letter T. I'm saying T because TI,
yeah,
this is how you say
yeah,
T in in Nahuatl,
yeah.
right? So TI is the suffix. Also, the T that you place at the end of the verb is also a suffix.
Could you actually just remind me what a suffix is? Sorry, I know
So a
that's like basic
suffix,
English, but
okay, so suffix is just because here's the other thing about when we're teaching classes, we're using grammatical terms.
mhm,
We're using grammatical terms. In layman's terms, a suffix is an accessory. Is an
okay.
accessory. So, for example, when I'm trying to think of I'm trying to think of something, and maybe you guys can come up with better examples as well. So when you put on a dress or a pair of pants, for example, right? You can just put on a pair of pants. It's just a pair of pants. But if you put on a belt, right, the belt makes the pants prettier. The pant, the belt can let people know if what do you call it? Can let people know if it's a fancy suit, that sort of thing, right? So it's like an accessory. So in English, I'm just looking at the I think somebody wrote in the chat. So, oh, sorry. Yeah, so a suffix could be ed in English. For example, ed. I'm thinking of I walked, right? So you have the verb walk, and then ed would be a suffix, because in English, when you conjugate verbs, they're almost the same, right? I walk, you walk, he walks, right? They're almost the same. But if you're conjugating into the past tense, the teacher is going to say to you, all you have to do is add a suffix of ed to the verbs, and that automatically turns your verb into the past tense, right? I walked, you walked, he walked. You see? So the ed is a suffix. Is that help a little bit?
Yeah, definitely. Thank you.
Okay, perfect. So in that way, again, ni, ti, gi, ti, these are suffixes. And then the object marker is the letter K. K. Yaha doesn't have an object marker, but teheme and meheme, yeheme. Let me see here. Oh, I think in Yaha, it's already there. The gi would be a suffix and an object marker together, I guess. Okay. Oh, is the K object marker the same regardless is singular or plural? That is correct, Julian. So yes, it's either the object marker. It doesn't matter if it's singular or plural, because as we see throughout the lesson, there are other things that are going to tell us if the noun is plural. Okay, so when you're conjugating transitive verbs, as you notice in the formula, the verb doesn't change. See, if you look at it, so this is what's similar in English, right? Walk, walk, walks. For the majority of the time, the verb doesn't change. Negi, negi. All you're doing is just adding the suffixes. So niknegi, tiknegi, ginegi. All right. So we're going to do just a quick exercise with a transitive verb. So let's look at this one here. Gua. And again, if you have any troubles seeing my slides, please let me know. Also, before I forget, I'm just going to take attendance. So if you can please just shout your name, and I'm just going to write it down, and I'll send Tamachtiani the information. So I know Julian is here. Alex, you're here. And who else do we have?
Monica, me.
Okay, thank you.
Natalie.
Okay, thank you, Natalie.
Nico.
Nico, thank you. So we got 5 people in attendance. Am I missing anyone else, or no? Okay. So so we have the verb gua, and this means to buy, to buy. So we're going to conjugate this verb together. And remember, you need a complement. So as you conjugate this verb, you can come up with any complement, out of the many nouns that we have learned, together. So because let's see, I'm not able to, oh, there it is. Okay, so I'm going to do the first one. See, because I'm using a different system to share my slide here, I don't have the fancy pen that Tamachtiani usually uses. Okay, so I guess we're gonna, let me see here. My apologies. Okay, so maybe we can just say it. Would that work? So I'll start with the first one. So I can say something like naha nigua set saput, right? So I buy 1 saput. So nigua, I'm just not sure what happened to my slide here. And if anyone is really good with tech, I would appreciate it. Let me see if I can just, let's see here. Okay.
You're trying to find a way to write up on the screen?
Yeah, because the thing is I'm using what's the word I'm looking for? Oh, I think I know what I did. Just a moment here. I was just trying to activate the pen, but for some reason it didn't want to. So does anyone know if you're sharing a document on Zoom, the pen won't work? Anyone know? Or
I'm not sure how to deal with that, but is it on slides? On Google Slides?
no, unfortunately
Oh.
no. So
It started
okay.
working for like 1 second right now.
Oh, I don't even know what I did. Like
Yeah.
No, I think it
I
was
just
me. I was
Oh,
trying
okay.
to see if I could. I'm
Oh my
sorry.
goodness, how did you do that? Okay, okay. All right. No panic, no panic. Okay, let's try this again. All right. So okay. Okay. Hey, it works. Perfect. Okay, so I'm gonna write this one down first. Nahanigua se saput. So now if you notice here, technically speaking, if we follow the formula that Tamachidani gave to us, it should have a 2 case, right? Right? That's according to the formula. But as you know, languages, they come up with all the rules, but there's always going to be an exception, right? Because they like to complicate our lives sometimes, right? So for the purpose of aesthetics, you have to remove 1 K. And the K becomes pronounced like a soft G, right? G as in good. So it would be nahanigua se tsaput. I buy 1 tsaput. It's a type of fruit. So we have 5 people in attendance and we have 5 pronouns left. So if anyone would like to volunteer, we can do these together. So let's conjugate the verb gua, and you can use any noun, anything to complement the sentence.
Okay, I'll go. Taha tigua sala.
So we're going to say, let's see. The number 1, right? So if we want, we can use as just the number 1 to make our lives easier. And what about yaha?
I can go.
Mhm.
Yaha. Wait.
Mhm.
Yaha ki kiua?
So it would
Yeah,
be
yaha
yaha.
ki kiua
Mhm.
se lala?
Okay. So yaha gigua se sala. And now we have tehemet. We.
that I could go.
Mhm.
Tehemet tigua se shugut.
Okay. Okay. Se shugut. Okay. Now we have an mehemet.
An mehemet. An kikua. Kikua?
An gigua.
Kigua. Se Guinea.
Okay. Guinea. And then we have, whoops, no space. So let me make this a little smaller. So we have room for yehemet. Okay. So now we have yehemet, they. So yehemet.
Oh, sorry.
Mm-hmm.
I'm a little rusty. I was away for 2 classes, but Yehemet Giguet Selala.
Mm-hmm. Perfect. So they have 1 orange. Okay, perfect. So again, just a reminder that Tamachtiani on his YouTube channel, he does have a 2-hour class on verbs, transitive and intransitive verbs. Also, the class was designed for all levels. It has a lot of information, so I revisit it from time to time. So again, we invite you to check out the class and yeah, go from there. So let's see here. I'm just going to quickly check my notes, make sure I'm not missing any valuable information. All right.
Hey, Valerie.
Yes.
I was wondering if you could make that one line a little bit bigger.
Yeah,
And
sure.
It's really tiny.
Yeah, I just made it a little smaller because for some reason it wasn't fitting on my screen.
Okay.
Let's see here.
Thank you.
Does this work for everybody?
Yeah.
Okay, perfect. So please let me know when you're done jotting it down and we'll move to the next slide.
I am done.
Okay, thank you. All right. So there are many ways to form plurals in Nahuatl. Let me see. Okay, so there are many ways to form plurals in Nahuatl, each following specific rules that we will explore together right now. So this one here, the first one that we're going to look at is the numerical plural form, which you already know. Many of the rules that we're going to see in today's class, you already know them. However, there are some new ones, and we're presenting all the rules in one class. So in English, the noun is invariable. In English, the noun is invariably pluralized when accompanied by a number, whereas in Nahuatl, the numerical plural leaves the noun unchanged. The quantity is specified beforehand by simply using any number. This plural form is used with both animate and inanimate nouns. So in other words, in Nahuatl, simply placing a number before a noun is enough to make it plural, right? Easy peasy. But of course, there's an exception to this rule. Does anyone remember what that exception is? Does anyone remember?
Was it
So-
something like after the number 6? Like once you're, is that right?
So in Nahuatl, we know that if you say maquilala, right? 5 orange. We know that in Nahuatl, if you put the number 5 before the orange, it automatically makes lala into the plural form, right? 5 oranges. Maquilala. But this rule doesn't work when it's, does anyone remember? It's okay if you don't remember, because this is we're here to learn. So the exception, this rule does not work when we're referring to people, right?
Oh, yeah.
So if we say, oh, I see 5 women, I can't say in Nahuatl, maquil siwapil, sorry, that's girl. You know, I can't say maquil siwapil, 5 girl. That doesn't work. You have to use the plural form of the word siwapil. Now, the good news about this chart, because as you're going to notice here, some of these, let's see, some of the words that you see on this slide are related to the family. And we've seen the family a few classes back. And when Tamachtiani presented that class, he had a chart that had the complete words for the family in their singular form, as well as their plural form, because some of them, they can be a little complicated in a, so he gave us a cheat sheet, more or less. So let's go through these ones, right? So siwapil, we know it's a girl, right? And this is the plural form. Siwapipil. Pilsin is a boy, right? So this is the plural. Uhukich, Uhugich pilsitsin. Also, before I go any further, any questions that you may have during today's class, if I'm not able to answer it, or you're not sure, you just want to hear from Tamachtiani, for example, Tamachtiani will have the tutoring sessions on Friday. So you can present them with the questions, and we'll go through the material again. Next one is siwat. Siwat is a woman. Plural, sisiwatket. Tagat is a man. Plural, tahtagamit. Then we have this one, which is gunyu. So this is the son of a woman, right? And the reason why it has the little hyphen there is because with these words, with the family, you need to add a possessive adjective. You can't say son. No. In Nahuatl, you have to say my son. It has to have a possessive adjective, right? So gunyu, and then the plural is pilawan, right? Then we have pipil, which is son of a man. And then the plural is pipil. Then we have this one here, kunyu, a person. Technically speaking, this word that you see right here, it means brother in Nahuatl. However, it also means people. How come? Well, because in the Nahuatl community, we're all brothers and sisters. We all live in the same planet, and somehow, one way or another, we're all related. So there's no word for people. So the elders, they use the word brother. So this is the plural form. So when you say I see people, you're literally saying in Nahuatl, I see brothers. I see brothers. Again, because we're all brothers and sisters. And then the next one, we have nansin. And this is the plural form. Nahnatzitzin met. And then tahtsin, tahtatzitzin met. And then there are others. Okay? Because there's all kinds of people. It could be customers. Customers are people, right? So there are other words that you're going to see in Nahuatl that are talking about people. Okay. And then we have this term, kiane. I don't think we've seen this term yet in level 1. I could be wrong. So kiane means this is how it is. It also means like this. It also means example. So every time you see this, kiane, we're basically saying example. So we know that people are the exception to the rule. So let's look at some examples where we're using the numerical plural form, right? So let's look at lala. So lala, we know it's an orange. Nelala is the orange. Selala, an orange, one orange. Umelala, yelaila, nawilala, makwilala, right? So 1 orange, 2 oranges, 3 oranges, 4 oranges, and 5 oranges. Again, all of you already are familiar with the numerical plural form, right? So here's another example. Does anyone want to read this one? Pula. So it's a plantain. Anyone want to practice their pronunciation?
I can go. Do I read all of them?
Yeah, you can read all the lines.
Okay, sorry, I didn't hear that part. Pula, ne pula, se pula, ume pula, ye pula, nawi pula, makwil pula.
Excellent. Does anyone want to translate line by line? So we know that pula is a plantain, what we see in the picture.
Sure. Plantain, the plantain, 1 plantain, 2 plantains, 3 plantains, 4 plantains, 5 plantains.
Excellent. So as you see, the noun does not change, right? It is in its singular form, right? We see that, except, right, here we go again with the exceptions, right? Except when it's people, right? So to reiterate, I cannot say umesiwat, 2 women, yay siwat. That example that we just previously saw with the orange and the plantain, I can't do that with women, right? So when we're talking about people, we say the number followed by the plural form of the people we are speaking, right? So if I want to say 2 sons, right? So I'm the mother, right? 2 sons, I would say ume nupilawan. If I want to say my 2 brothers, I would say ume numahmanuan, right? And so forth. So let's look at the next slide. So here's an exercise that we can work on. And we don't have to use all of these words, right? Maybe we can do 2 to 3 sentences. We're going to use any of the 3 verbs that we just looked at, right? So we were looking at pia, negi, and gua, right? So that is to have, to love, and to buy. So these words that you see here on the slide, pick any of these words, pick any of the 3 verbs that we just looked at, and let's make sentences, but we're making them plural. So I'm going to go first, right? Just to show an example here. Where's my, okay, so awagat, right? So this is an avocado, right? So I can say naha nik negi yay awagat. My apologies. This is a, oh, that's perfect. Can anyone see the text by any chance? Hold on, let me. I think that might be too small, right?
A
It's
little
okay
bit,
if we zoom in, but yeah,
Okay,
we
let
can do a
me,
little bigger.
okay, let me try 20. Can everyone see that? Nahanik negi ye awagat. Right? So I want 3 avocados. So if I can have 2 volunteers, if you want to use any of these words, let's make them plural and with any of the 3 verbs that we were talking about at the beginning of the class.
Nahanik pia ume pelu.
Okay. So let me write this one down. Okay. Nahanik pia. How many dogs?
Ume.
Ume, okay. Ume pelu. So I have 2 dogs. And let's do one more.
Nahanik pia se mistun.
Okay. Okay, so nahanik pia se mistun. Okay. So
I have a question.
yes.
Isn't mistun is cat, right?
Yes.
Doesn't
But
it-
there's 2 words. There's 2 words for cats. So mishtun is when you own the cat. Mistun is when it's like a stray cat, a cat that doesn't have a human, pretty much, right? So so in this case, right, nahanik pia se, the right word would be mishtun. But if you want to say I want a cat, right, because you're looking to adopt one or to rescue one, then you could say nahanik negi se mistun, right? Does that make sense? Did I answer your question or did I?
Yes, thank you.
Perfect. All right. So let's move on to the next slide. So this one, we're gonna spend a little extra time on this one because it does have a lot of information, and I want to give you enough time to jot down all this vocabulary. So on this slide, we're gonna look at quantifiers in now what. These are the words we use them to say, in English, it would be a lot, right? So if you want to say a lot, that's a lot of cats, right? Or if you want to say a little. So those are quantifier words, quantifiers. Okay, so just let me, while you jot this down, I just want to look at my notes because I want to make sure I don't miss anything with this slide, because this one is, it has a lot. It has a lot of information. Okay, so let's begin with column 1 on the left-hand side. So we see the words chupi, chupichin, chupisan. Chupi means a little or a few. Chupichin means a tiny bit, just a little. Chupisan means only a little. So you see how everything gets smaller and smaller? So chupi, chupichin, chupisan. So chupi can be used, if you look at the column, right? You're going to see it says, tesu tiweli titapuat. It means we cannot count it. Okay, so chupi, chupichin, chupisan, this quantifier, you're going to use it with uncountable nouns. What does that mean? It's these nouns that we cannot count. So if I have a bag of oranges and I say, hey, Nico, how many oranges do you have in that bag? You can take out the oranges from the bag and you can count them one by one. 1, 2, 3, right? But if I cannot count water, right? So you see these, the vocabulary, you see at, right? So at is water, ehegat is the wind, tacual is food, food that comes from, that's made of corn. Taiwan is food that it's everything else that is not made of corn. And then you have tumin, which is money, right? I'll explain tumin a little more. So with
Did
money,
you say tumin is money?
yeah, it means money. Yeah, it means money. So if I say, I'll explain with tumin a little more, because some people may say, actually, yes, you can count money. Okay. If I say I have a little bit of money, what does that mean exactly? A little bit of money. We really don't have a number. But if I have bills, right? If we're talking about cash, I can say to you, oh, I have $3 bills, right? So when it comes to bills, you can count that. But if we're saying money in general, we cannot count that, or at least in Nahuatl is not considered as something that you can count. So so if when we use chupi with water, you can say something like, oh, I want a little bit of water. Right? You're just saying a little because we cannot count water. It's a little windy, ehegan, right? Chupi. With food, some people may argue, actually, you can count food. Well, if I were to say in English, I want a little bit of food. But if I say I want a little bit of hamburger, what does that mean exactly? Because a hamburger is a hamburger. You can count that. You can say I want a small hamburger, right? Like if you don't want to eat that much. But we say a little bit of food. Is that making any sense? If you have any questions about these quantifiers, jump in, and we can look at it further. So let me see if I have. Okay, so another thing with chupi, you can use it with feelings and verbs, right? So let me see if I can write some of these down on the screen here. Okay. Okay. So we were using the verb negi, which is to love or to want. So if I want to say, I love Maria a little bit, well, that's going to be like this. Chupi, nignegi, Maria. I love Maria a little. Because this is on the bottom of the screen. Can you guys see it?
Yes.
Okay, perfect. So if I want to say I eat a little, it would be chupi, nitakwa. I eat a little. I sleep a little bit, right? So chupi, niguchi. I sleep a little. So again, chupi, chupichin, chupisan, you can use it with uncountable nouns. You can use it with feelings, and you can use it with verbs. Are there any questions with this quantifier in specific? Yeah.
I do.
Yes.
So basically it's like interchangeable. We can use whichever one we feel like it, or is there, like what will be the difference from saying chupichin Nignegi Maria.
So chupi is a little, chupichin is a tiny bit, right? So if you're giving me water and I say, I just want a little bit of water, and I want, like, you're pouring too much, I'm going to say, no, just a tiny bit. I'm basically saying, no, something smaller than chupi. So chupichin is smaller than chupi. It's like saying in English, small, smaller, smallest.
Got it. Thank you.
Right? And then chupisan means only a little. Only a little. So how much water do you want? Only a little. Chupisan. Nahaniknegi chupisan. Only a little. So then the next one, this one is going to be really interesting. Nawichin. So you see three versions of this word, and this means a little. But if you notice, out of the three, only one is underlined. So Tamachtiani was explaining that in Huitzapan, the Nahuatl speakers, sometimes they'll pronounce it as Nahuichin. Some of the elders will pronounce it that way. The word that is underlined is the one mostly used by the elders in Huitzapan. All three pronunciations are correct, and all three are used by native Nahuatl speakers in Huitzapan. But the first one that is underlined is the one that they commonly use. Tamachtiani said when he was working on the dictionary, he consulted with the elders because he needed to add this word in the dictionary, but he wanted to know which one do we add? So he found out through his research that this word has three different versions. All three are valid. The elders in the community, they concurred all three are valid. However, Nahuichin is the one that they use most commonly, and it's the one that you will find in the dictionary. Okay, so Nahuichin, a little, this one you use it with countable nouns. So that's why you see here, Giatiwelit titapuat. We can count it. That's what it means. Countable nouns. So for example, itagil, it means fruit. Dadahka, it means things. So like in general, things like a cooking pot, a bed, a chair. That's what it means, things in general. We're going to look at these ones a little bit closely. I'll explain a little more. Ish, because ish means seed. And then the next one, sital, means star. Okay. You can also use Nahuichin with animals, right? So you have Costanchane, Achane, the water, the animals in the water, Galchane, which is pets, Tecuani, any predators. And you can also use it with people, right? So brothers, Tuihik Niwan, brothers. You can use it with people. So let's look at Ish and Sital. So Ish means the seeds and Sital means stars. Some people will say,
Valerie?
yeah, go ahead.
So sorry, I think I missed like the definition of Nahuichin. And did I say it right? Is it Nahuichin?
Yeah, Nahuichin. So it means a little.
Also a little. Okay. But Nahui is for, right?
No, Nahuichin. The entire word, Nahuichin,
okay,
means a little. Okay. So this quantifier, you only use it with things that we can count. Can we count seeds? If it's a small amount, yes, like a teeny tiny amount. If you have 4 seeds in the palm of your hand, you can count that. But if you have a bag of seeds, you can't really count that. And we don't. We weigh them. We say, oh, it's 2 pounds, 3 pounds. We don't count each one because it's too many. With stars, if it's just getting dark, the night is beginning, you'll see 1 or 2 stars. You can count that. But the moment that it's a starry night, you can't count that. So that's why Tamachtiani added the little asterisks on those 2 words, because you can only count these ones if it's in a small amount. So if I say, let me write this down. Okay. Okay, if I say, sorry. Nawichin et. Nawichin et. That means little bit of beans. Little bit of beans. So when you're using these quantifiers, you put the quantifier before the noun automatically is considered plural, right? Because this is the singular form of bean. So if we say nawichin et, a little bit of beans. Okay. Do we have any questions about this one? I can write, let me write some other examples here. Let me just scroll down a little bit here. Okay, so if I say nawichin pelu nemi, so we're going to use animals here. This literally means there are a bit of dogs. There's like a bit of dogs, right? So I don't know, if we're going to a rescue center and showing like a little bit of dogs, right? You don't know how many, you just know that it's a small amount. And you say nawichin pelu nemi, right? Another one is nawichin tihlan nemi. There are a bit of chickens, right? So we're not counting the chickens. We just know that there's like a little bit, right? You can also, right, because we did say you can use it with people. So if I want to say there are a bit of women, then I would say nawichin si what get nemi. So pretend that we're at a conference, right? There's a conference going on and it's the beginning. And I asked Julian, hey, are there a lot of women in attendance? Like have many women shown up? And he's not counting. He just estimates, oh, there's a little bit. He would say, nawichin sisiwat get nemi. Yeah. Is that helpful? Any
So
questions?
the direct translation would be that there's a few women?
Yeah, a few.
Okay.
So, so I know that in English, when we're talking about amounts, sometimes we say a little, a tiny bit, a few. So when we're translating from Nahuatl to English, it all depends on the context, right? So, and the right translation is there are a few women. See, but I'm so used to saying a little bit because everything is little in Nahuatl that I forget that in English it's a few women. Yeah. So, if we move to the next one, so the quantifiers we're going to be looking at next is way. So we know that way means a lot, right? Like there's a lot, but it also means great. And when I say great, it's talking about something that, like, for example, this is a great book. This is a great person. If you want to say something is big, like if you want to say, oh, that person or that dog is big, you want to use this word. Hold on, let me write it here. Tumak or hombron. Hombron, this word is borrowed from the Spanish language. It doesn't come from Nahuatl. It comes from Spanish. So if you want to say that the dog is big, you're going to say tumac, right? Or hombron. But if you want to say it's a great dog, because that dog is a hero, he works with the police force, with the firefighters, he rescues people. That's a great dog. Then you're going to say way. That's when it means great. But in this case, we're using it as a lot. And we use way with, again, in Nahuatl is tesutiweli titapuat. We cannot count it. We cannot count it. Way is used with uncountable nouns. So again, water, ehegat, wind, takwal, food, taiwan, food that is not made of corn, money. And you can also use it with seeds, and stars when we cannot count them, right? So remember how I was saying, once it's nightfall and you see a lot of stars, then that's when you would use way, because you cannot count it. And in terms of money, you know, I can say nahaniknegi way tuming. It's like, I want a lot of money. I'm not saying how much specifically, right? I'm just saying I want a lot of money. Way tuming. If you want to say, just to talk about the word great, here, I'm just going to add this one. Way siwat. You know, see, that's like an important woman, someone who's important. Or if you want to say great tamachtiani, right? Someone who is important. Okay, that was just another example of great. But again, way in this context, it means a lot. Do you guys have any questions about way?
Sorry, I have a question about nawishin really quickly.
Sure.
For the first part, so at the end you said it was a few women. For the other examples, like the beans and the dogs, is it also a few beans and a few dogs, or is it still a little bit of beans and a little bit of dogs?
So that's yeah, it is. Because it's something that you can count, right? Because let's say you have I don't know, I'm just thinking, like the beans, especially, they come in a bag. When it's in a
Right.
bag, we don't know how many beans are there exactly, right? So when the bag is full of beans, it's uncountable. But as you're cooking, right? As you're cooking, your stash of beans is getting low, right? So
Right.
when you're doing your groceries and you check your cupboards and you're like, oh my God, you can literally count that you have 4 beans left in the bag or in the container, wherever it is that you store your beans, right? Like you can literally count them because there's only a few left, right? So
Right.
in that case, you would say, nawischin et.
And is that like a little bit of beans, or is that so that, oh, because you can count it, it's a little bit.
Yeah, a little bit of beans.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay.
Okay,
Okay,
or a
thank
few,
you.
or you can say a little bit of beans, or you can say a few beans.
It could be a
Somebody,
little or a few
yeah,
right?
or a few. Like somebody, I remember years ago, somebody in English, they told me when you say a few, it means like 2 to 4 items, right? It's like very minimal. So now we chin et. It's like I have a little bit of beans. I have a few beans left.
Okay, thank you so much.
No problem. And now we're moving to the next quantifier, miyak. Miyak. This means a lot. Miyak. When it comes to the pronunciation of this word, pretend, if you find this helpful, pretend that there's a letter Y in between the I and the A. Because one of the things that Tamachtiani is always saying is that in Nahuatl, if you have 2 vowels together, I, A, you have to break the sound, right? So pretend that it's the letter Y in between, miyak. I hope that's helpful. So it means a lot. And you use it for things that we can count, right? So it's countable items. So again, in Nahuatl, gia tiweli titapuat. Yes, we can count them. The word gia, it means yes in Nahuatl, but it's more of a more enthusiastic yes. So if I say, do you like this? You would say, eje, yes. But if it's something that you really like, and I ask you, do you like it? You're going to say, of course, right? It's a more enthusiastic yes. So that's what guia means, right? So guia tiweli titapuat. Yes, we can count it, right? We can count them. So you use miyak with countable nouns such as fruit, things in general. You can use them with animals, and you can use them with people. So I'm going to write down some examples here. So miyak, lala, nemi. The translation would be, there are a lot of oranges. Miyak, lala, nemi.
Can you remind me what nemi means?
So nemi, Okay. Nemi, how do we translate this? It's not the verb to be. It's the verb to, I'm thinking, like if you are at a location, right? You are at the store. You are not the store, right? You are. It means the verb to be, but not like I am, you are. No, it's when we're talking about location. Does anyone have a better way to translate this by any chance? To be? Because in Spanish, we have two ways of saying to be. Like when you are a person, like I am sad, I am, and then there's the one where it's I am at the store, I am in the
Okay, so
kitchen.
in a way you're saying like here I have lots of oranges.
Yeah,
Like
yeah, like they're there.
that the oranges have a place. You have
Yeah,
to put nemi because this noun has
yeah,
a physical, like it's
location.
occupying space. Okay, I got you.
Exactly.
Thank you.
So if I ask you, right, you're standing by the fridge and I'm about to go shopping, right? So we're roommates, right? I'm about to go shopping to farmer's market. And I ask you, hey, do we have oranges? And you open the fridge. You say, miak lalanemi. There are a lot of oranges. Right? Because you see the fridge full of oranges. So if we use the example of the conference, right? Like, are there any women there? You know, have they started arriving? So we would say, si, what, get, nemi. There are a lot of women. If we want to say, there are a lot of men. Miyak. No, sorry. Miyak tahtagame. There are a lot of men. There are a lot of men. Miyak tahtagamit nemi. Another example, if you want to say, I have a lot of brothers, right? I have a lot of brothers. Miyak nu ma nu. Oops, sorry. Nikpia. Miak nu mahmanuan nikpia. I have a lot of brothers. Okay, so again, miak means a lot, and you use it with countable nouns. Okay, let's look at the last quantifier. This is a popular one, right? A lot of us know this one, susul, because susul also means a lot. It can also mean very much, very, right? If I ask you, how are you? And we say, I'm very well, very. So here's the question in Nahuatl. So tay tikchiwat, wan tay tiyulmatit. What do we do and what do we feel? So susul, we use it for verbs and feelings. We don't use susul when we're talking about quantifiable things. You know, like if I say I have a lot of oranges, I can't say susul because susul is only used for verbs and feelings. Okay, so I'm going to give you an example here, a few examples here. Let's see. Right? I love my mother very much. Susul nik negi nunan. I love my mother very much. And since we're talking about food, susul nitakwa. I eat a lot. And for any heavy sleepers out there, right? Susul niguchi. I sleep a lot. So again, susul is only for verbs and feelings. When you get to level 2, you're going to see susul when it's used with the climate. When we say, oh, there's a lot of wind, it's windy, you'll see that in more detail in level 2. So do we have any questions about these quantifiers? Is the chart pretty clear? Is there anything else you want me to add to help it make it clearer? We're good? Okay. And again, if you have any questions and you want to ask later, join us on Friday during the tutoring sessions, and we can double check with Nancy Sixta as well as with Tamachtiani. So now we're going to go through the next method, which is plural through reduplication. So this is another method that many of you guys already know. So in Nahuatl, the plural of a noun is formed by reduplicating the first syllable of the word and inserting a J between the reduplication and the singular form. So this method is applied to both animate and inanimate nouns, with the exceptions of nouns referring to people, and no additional suffix is added. Okay, so Giane, example, right? So do any of you guys want to read these examples for me? So if you guys want to again, practice your pronunciation. So we have the orange. Does anyone want to read this slide?
Ne lala, which is just the singular, and then ne lala is a plural.
Correct. Next one. Does anyone want to read this one?
Ne pula, ne puhpula, in plural form.
Perfect. Correct. Okay, so now, since we warmed up a little bit with the pronunciation, let's see if we're going to form some sentences with these words. So we can let's do three. Let's do 3 sentences. So you can choose any of the words that you see here on the chart, and you can use any of the 3 verbs that we talked about at the beginning of the class. So it's pia, to have, negi, to love or to want, and gua, to buy. So would anyone want to, and again, when you use these words, right, depending on how you form the sentence, you might use the numerical plural form, you might use the reduplication method, right? You have choices depending on the noun that you choose and depending what you want to say in that one. So I can start with so I can say something like, let's use the fish. So nahanik pia ume michin. Right, so I have 2 fish. Whoops, let me change the font. Is that too small? Can you guys see that?
I can see it.
Okay, perfect. So I have 2 fish. So I use the numerical plural form. So if anyone wants to do one more, we have sala, which is pant, wipil, which is a blouse, tutut, a bird, gakti, shoes, tihlan, a chicken, a hen. Sorry, I didn't catch that. Did you say tutut?
No, wipil.
This one, right? Wipil. Okay. So wipil, this one is a blouse. So we need a possessive adjective because wipil cannot be homeless.
Oh, right. Yeah,
right.
Yeah.
So you say
naha nikpia se.
How many? Sorry, it sounds a little muffled.
Se.
Se, okay. You can use a different number because se is 1 and we want to make it plural, right?
Oh, okay. Ume.
Na
wipil.
Okay, so nu wipil. Right? So because wipil is a noun, it's a thing. Let me make this smaller so we can see it, right? So I have 2 blouses. 2 blouses. Okay. So let's move on to the next slide. Let's see. So now we're going to see, this is a new one. Okay, so this one is a new one. And Tamachtiani said it can be a tricky one because it has suffixes. Okay, we all love suffixes, right? Okay, so like the previous plural form, this method also involves reduplicating the first syllable of the noun. A J is inserted between the reduplicated syllable and the singular form, followed by the addition of a suffix, which can be get, met, or one. This pluralization technique is specifically used for nouns referring to people such as friends and family. So basically, in other words, the suffixes that we're going to learn right now, you can only use them with people, okay? Only with people, and I believe there was something else. Not just people. So let me see if I can explain this, because this is not something that we see in the English language. In the Nahua culture, everything that surrounds us is alive, right? As we see with Ehegat. Ehegat, that's a name for the wind, because in the Nahua community, Ehegat has a conscience. So he has a name. He's not a thing. He is something that is alive. So when in the Nahua community, when they're talking about the trees, the flowers, the dogs, the cats, the hills, the volcanoes, all of that is alive. So get, met, one, you're going to see how we use them when we make things plural, right? So does that make any sense to anyone? Because it's a different concept of seeing the world, right? To them, everything is alive. So the first two suffixes that we're going to see is met and get. So the suffixes met and get can be used interchangeably with any noun referring to people or other animate beings. There is no strict rule for choosing one over the other. It simply depends on what sounds right in context, which is why it can become complicated. So let's see. In this section, all of us, okay, and I include myself, here's where we're going to sharpen our listening and speaking skills, because they're going to help us figure out which version of met or get we're going to use, okay? If something sounds off, like if you're using met and you're like, it just doesn't sound right, chances are you are correct. You're using the wrong suffix and you need to use the other one. So Tamachtiani says the majority of the time when we make something plural, that is a person or something that is alive, most of the times we're going to use the suffix met. But we're also going to see other instances when we're using get. Okay. And the other thing is on Friday, when we join Nansing Sixta and Tamachtiani, we can also ask them, you can bring a list of nouns, of words, and you can ask them, can you just confirm with me, is it with the plural, is it met or get? So, Yane, like this. So I'm going to ask you guys, okay, so we're going to use our listening and speaking skills. Okay, so I'm going to go first. The woman, right? This is the singular, nesiwat. So the plural for woman is women, nesisiwat. Am I going to use met or get at the end? So here's where you have to exercise your listening skills. You can say it out loud. You can say nesisiwat met. Does that sound good? Nesisiwat get. Which one sounds good? So I'm going to say get. And that is the correct answer. Nesisiwat get. So let's move on to the next example. So who wants to read this one? And together, like you guys can shout it out. Which one is the plural form? Is it met or get? So can anyone read the singular form of man?
Netagat.
Okay, and can you also read just the beginning of the plural form?
netahtaga,
So we know that met and get, we know that we need to add a suffix. Which one sounds better? Say both versions. Say both versions, and you tell me which one sounds better.
netahtagamet, netahtagamet. I think netahtagamet sounds better.
And you are correct. That is the suffix. Correct. Let's try another one. Who wants to try this one? Let's do it together. Who wants to read the first sentence?
Nepelu.
The dog, right? Do you want to read the beginning of the plural?
Nepelu.
Okay. So now tell me both versions, the both suffix, met and get.
Nepehpelumet. Nepehpeluket.
Which one do you think sounds better? And anyone can jump in because you're listening to these words, right? So say it again. Say both of them again.
Nepehpelumet. Nepehpeluget. I think get.
Get?
But
Does
I'm not
anyone?
sure.
No, it's okay. Does anyone agree, disagree? Nepehpelumet, nepehpeluget.
I think the first one sounds better. Nepehpelumet.
Nepehpelumet. Okay. And you are correct. That is the suffix. Okay. Now let's go to the next one. Nemistun. Okay. So does anyone want to read the first one? Singular?
Nemistun.
And now the plural.
Nemihmistunmet.
Okay. And how does it sound with the other one?
Nemihmistunget.
Which one, or anyone, which one do you think sounds better?
For me, the second one with the get.
With the get?
Mistunget.
Does anyone have a different opinion? Does anyone want to contest?
Now I think met,
Met?
but I
Okay.
don't know.
You are correct. It's met. And this is why, and again, this is not about, oh, who's right and who's wrong. This is the reason why the Friday tutoring sessions, or any of the tutoring sessions, because if you can't make it on Friday, you can also join other ones. This is why they're important, because sometimes we need to speak with the NAWAT speakers and double check with them. Oh, somebody had a question, so I interrupted. No? Okay. Next one. Does anyone want to read this one?
Neshuchit,
And next one?
neshuchit,
Okay. Get or met. Say both of them. See what we like.
neshuchitget, neshuchimet.
Which one do you guys like?
I will say the one with met at the end. It's a little bit more complicated. Get.
Exactly. And you are correct. It's met. See, the other thing that Tamachtiani says, he says that in Nahuatl speakers, they like words to sound beautiful, right? They're very sensitive to sounds. So it's all about the aesthetics, right? Now, this one is going to be easy for you guys. So Tamachtiani says, when it comes to professions, right, when we're talking about careers, a doctor, tapahtiani, a teacher, tamachtiani, we all know how they're all formed, right? All of them, they end with the letters N-I, ni. All of them will end with met. All of them. Police officer, firefighter, a teacher, all of them will end with met. So this one is easy. We don't have to think about this one. And this one, nechulet. So it's We're talking about an old individual, right? So does anyone want to read this one?
Nechulet.
Now the plural, met or get.
Nechulet get. Nechulet met.
Which one do we like best?
I will go for get.
Correct. That is correct. So Tamachtiani says the met and get is in danger of disappearing. So he says that a lot of people in Huitzapan, not too many people are using these suffixes, the get and met. But the reason why we are learning it is because it's proper grammar. Tamachtiani told the story that he would, sit down with the elders in the community and he would have a list of nouns because sometimes we're not sure which one sounds better. Is it met or get? Like which one sounds better? So he would talk to the elders in the community and he would go noun by noun. And some of the women in the community said to him, "Oh my God, I haven't heard that in a while. My grandfather used to say that. He used to say it like that." So he says that get and met are in danger of going extinct. But hey, you know what? We're learning the proper grammar, so it could revive, right? We could give it another boost. So now we're going to move to chane. Chane. So the word chane means habitant, a resident, and we're talking about countries, cities as well, right? So, if you're from Texas, what do we call people from Texas? We say Texans. Am I correct? I think we do have some students here from Texas, right? So chane means resident or habitant of that place. So, okay, I'm going to use it. So we know that El Salvador, right? Its Nahuatl name is Guzgatan. So if I want to say Salvadorian, is Guzgatan Chane. So all you do is you take the name of the country, and after the name of the country, you add the suffix Chane. Chane, that's it. I am Salvadorian. Naha ni Guzgatan Chane. And what is the plural form? Salvadorians. Guzgatan Chanehget. Guzgatan Chanehget. Right? That's Salvadorians. So because Guzgatan is the name of the country, it's a proper noun. We cannot change proper nouns. Okay, proper nouns are proper nouns. So something that has a name, like a country. We can't make those plurals. So that's the reason why chane goes after the word. So here's another one. You want to say Cuba, right? Someone from Cuba. Oops, sorry, I misspelled that. Cuba chane. Cubans. Cuba chane get. Okay, is this one clear? Or do you want to see another example?
It's pretty clear, thank you.
Pretty clear? And I'm going to do one more. Huitzapan, right? So the residents of Huitzapan. Right? Huitzapan chane, someone who's from the city of Huitzapan. But if we want to say residents of the city of Huitzapan, Huitzapan chane get. Okay. All right. So let's move to the next suffix, one. Now this suffix that we're going to look at, again, we're looking at three suffixes, right? Get, met, and one. One is going to be easier. Okay, so one, the suffix one is used to form the plural of nouns referring to people who share a close relationship with the speaker, such as those connected by affinity or blood ties. Okay, gyane, like this. For example, Numanu, right? So numanu is an elder brother. The plural form is numahmanuwan. So the suffix one, you add it at the end. So older brother, numanu, you make that plural and then you add one, the suffix at the end. My older brothers. Here's another one, my grandfather, right? Nutatanoi, or you can say nutatanoi one, my grandparents. Then the next one, this is an example where reduplication doesn't work, okay, because it doesn't sound pretty. So again, just to repeat some information, if you want to look at the plural form of family members, please check out the class that we had on family so that you can look at the complete list of the singular and plural forms of all the family members. So this one here, right? Nueltiu is a man's older sister. The singular, normally, right, if we follow the rule, it would have been like this, Nueltiwan, but that's a mouthful, right? Don't you guys think? It's a mouthful. So what they did is they didn't apply the J rule to make a plural. They just added the one at the end, Nueltiwan. See, it just sounds better. It rolls easily. Okay, so this one is the exception. So how about if we make two sentences? Let's do a couple of exercises. So for example, these are all family members. So what you're going to do is you're going to take one family member and you're going to tell me what the plural form is using the suffix one. So let me go first. So tegu, my father, right? And so I want to say, my parent, sorry. So if I want to say my parents, nu te, oops, did I spell that right? Nu te guan, right? So one is the suffix. Okay. And we can do one more example. Does anyone want to volunteer? So you have Pipi, which is a woman's older sister. Igao, which is a little brother or sister for both men and women. I'm going to explain, while you think about the exercise, I'm going to explain this one, Ishwiyu. Ishwiyu means grandchild. And the reason why it has the little star is because in the Nahuatl community, grandchildren, you're never sure if they're your grandchildren, right? So let's say I'm a mother and I have a son and my son marries and has children. My son is my son because he came from me, but I don't know about his children, Sorry, this may be a sensitive topic to some. But my daughter is my daughter and my daughter has grandchildren. I know 100% those are my grandchildren. So Tamachtiani says, if you are not sure, right? So let's say you're a grandparent. If you're not sure, those are your grandchildren. You're going to say, no ish. Let's see if I can get this right. Okay. If you're sure, right? If you're not sure that those are your grandchildren. Make this a little bigger. But if you're sure, 100%, those are my grandchildren. You add the one, because you're sure, because that's my blood. Okay, so that's why this one we needed to look at it a little closer. Okay, so does anyone want to make tell me what the plural form is? Any of these four. We're going to do one example. And we already did Gumpa and Chagu, because I think we looked at the previous slide. Did we? No, we didn't look at this one. So,
Hey, Valerie,
yeah.
could you pronounce Ishwai? I have a hard
Ishwiyu.
time. Ishwiyu, yeah.
Yeah.
Could
So
you
this one,
pronounce Nuish?
this one is a mouthful.
Nuish?
This one is a
Yeah.
mouthful. So if you are part of the Friday tutoring session, ask them. Just double check because this one is a mouthful. So Nuishwiyu one.
Okay. Thank you.
But always double check with Tamachtiani. Even next Wednesday for our last class, if you want to run it by him one more time, please do so. So I want to bring this word to your attention because chagu means my friend, and the reason this is really interesting because let me give you the nucha. See, because we say that one is someone that is blood related or a close affinity to the speaker. So that's your friend. And it could be your best friend. It could be someone that's very, very close to you. And that's the reason why you're using one. Here's another one. Gumpa, nugumpa. Nugumpa means my classmate, my coworker. Like, you see that in the chat. Sometimes people will say nugugumpawan, right? Because we're talking, hey, my classmates, my peers. So apparently this one also has one, okay? Now you might be saying, why would I want to call my coworkers someone who I have close affinity? I don't like them. I argue with them. Well, because for better or for worse, you do spend a lot of time with your coworkers, right? If you're in a class that you don't like, like maybe the teacher's terrible, who knows, right? Those are your classmates. They have a close affinity to you because you do spend a lot of time with them. And also geographically, I mean, you're sitting close by to each other, right? So that's the reason why you would use the one. So it's either someone who's related to you by blood or someone who has a close affinity, right? Has an affinity. Was anyone interested in maybe doing pipi or igual in plural? Does anyone want to give it a shot?
I could try pipi.
Okay, all right.
No pipi one. No pipi one.
And thank you for choosing this one. Thank you for choosing this one because this one, Tamachtiani said, I have to be honest with you. When it comes to family, family can be kind of tricky. It can be tricky. You are correct. This is the plural form. But in the Nawa community, they say nupipiwan. Why? Because it sounds better. It's all about the aesthetics. So you said it correctly, but in the community, they say nupipiwan. And it's a lot easier to say too. Wouldn't you agree?
Yeah.
Right? I know. See, this is the reason why Tamachtiani wrote the entire chart of the relatives of the family, singular and plural, because of stuff like this. To make our lives easier. Yeah. So moving on to the next slide. So let's look at plural for nature. Okay, so for nature, to pluralize elements of nature, such as trees, plants, stones, or sand, we add the suffix tal. This technique emphasizes the abundance of the pluralized element in a given place. So I'm going to give you the translation for all these words. So lalatal, it means an orange grove. Pulatal means a plantain grove. Shugutal means string beans, like a field of string beans. Cuahuital means forest. Yuatal means, I think I pronounced that wrong. It means sugarcane. It's a sugarcane field. Amatal, so amat is like some type of tree, like some kind of leaf. So there's a lot of them, right? Shuchital, it means flower garden. Tetal, so tet is a rock. So it's rockies, like there's a lot of rocks. Puchutal, this one is about the ceiba tree. So when you see a forest of ceiba trees, that's what you call it, puchutal. Sagatal, sagat, it comes from the word sagat, which means grass, right? So it's like a grassland. You see a lot of grass. Ashatal means a lot of sand. Something happened to this. Saputal is a lot of saput, that fruit. It's in abundance. Tapetal, it means rocky terrain. Now this one, okay, this is going to be, of course, the exception to the rule. So this is the plural form of a cornfield. But you see that it has the letter J. Why? Why did they add a letter J if tal is already making it plural? Well, Tamachtiani says a cornfield, one cornfield is already abundant, but it can belong to one family. So if you are in a town, in an area where there are many cornfields, you want to re-emphasize that there's a lot of cornfields. So that's the reason why they decided to make the word plural and then add the suffix tal. And then this one, oops, sorry, it's missing a. Let me fix this. Tehtepetal. It means hills, a lot of hills. So let me know if you need a little more time to write down all these words, or if I can move to the next slide, please.
Is it possible for you to write the English translation under some of them or all of them? I know that's a lot, but I couldn't write fast enough.
I would say yes, I would do it, but because I'm sharing my slides in a different way. But what I can do is, because I have to send this slide to Tamachtiani after I'm done, I'm going to add the translations when you get it on WhatsApp. Does that work for everybody? Everybody okay with that? Okay. All right, so let's so this is another one that you have learned. You have learned this one, but we're going to review it. Okay. So plural in diminutive. So what's the difference between the two, right? So diminutive would be chin or tsin. What's the difference between the two? So chin can be used with anything. You can virtually add it to anything. You can add it to a person. You can add it to a noun, you know. So for example, Tamachtiani, right? So his name is Hector, right? You can say Hector Chin, little Hector. If you want to say a little orange, Lala Chin, right? Little orange. You want to say a little dog, Peluchin, little dog. Okay, so again, chin, you can add it to a person. You know, see, Nico, right? Nico Chin, right? You can say, let's see, who else? I'm putting everybody in the spot. Julian Chin, right? So little Julian, right? All of that. So Chin is pretty cool that way because you can pretty much add it to anything. But if we look at Tsin, right? Tzin. Tsin is prohibited. Okay, it's prohibited. How come? Because tsin is reverential. It's a word that you have to earn. Not anyone can use this word. Okay, it's a word of honor. The equivalent in English would be if someone is a judge. What do we call them? We say Your Honor, right? Your Honor, I rest my case. Your Honor, I'm not a judge, so you can't call me Your Honor. I haven't earned that title. What's another one? Doctor, right? If you're an oncologist, a pediatrician, I can't call myself a doctor. I have not earned that title, right? So tsin is equivalent to that. It's a title that you must earn. How do you earn it? The community bestows this suffix onto your name. They're the ones that do that. But why is it prohibited now? Not necessarily prohibited, but we can't go around using this word on everything. Because the community, my understanding, and you can double check with Nansing Sixta or Tamachtiani, because the community is, we know that Nahuatl is you know, it's dwindling, and we're working really hard to revive it. It's the community doesn't come together anymore to decide who gets this title, who has the merit, for that title, who deserves it, who's the hero in our town. Okay. Also, tsin can be added to other living things like a tree. So let's say there's a tree in downtown Huitzapan that the community considers sacred. Then they're going to say, Guahuitzin, right? So let me write that down here. So Guahuitzin. Can everybody see that? Guahuitzin. So that means a sacred tree. It's a specific sacred tree in the community. Okay. So it's a suffix that you can add to a dog, to animals, to trees, or to plants, but it's the community that decides. Same with, here's another reverential that you're going to see. Oops. Let me write it down here. Nansing. Datsing. See? Because they earned the title. So Nansing Sixta is called Nansing because she earned that title. I mean, she's one of the people who has pioneered these Nahuatl classes, right? So she's earned that title. The community gave her that title. Okay. Do we have any questions about Chin or Tsin? Eso. Okay, so Yane, it works like this, right? So let's look at the breakdown of Chin, right? Pelu is the singular, it means dog. Peluchin, little dog. How do we make this into plural? So we're going to do reduplication, right? Pelu. And the chin, we're going to drop the letter N, okay? And we're going to add chin at the end. So peluchichin, it means little dogs, plural, little dogs. Okay? So if we can do a couple of plurals here, you know, does anyone want to do the plural, for example? O tutut, right? So we're going to make it plural and make it smaller, right? So we want to say small birds, little birds. How do we say that? Or if you close, you're getting there. So that's smaller. How do we say like small? It's like plural, like really little, diminutive. Chi.
Chichin.
Correct. There it is. Okay. So that means little birds, plural, and making it small. Patush is weird. This one, it's the exception. So I'm going to give you the, this one is patuchin. Sorry, patuchin. Why? Where did that J come from? So apparently the rule in Nahuatl is any noun that ends with the letter SH, it becomes a J. It becomes a J so that we can make it plural. It's only for aesthetic reasons. See, this one would be the exception to the rule.
Can you say that rule again? Any noun that ends in SH gets a J or becomes a J?
It becomes a J. So we see patush. So now it's patuh. And then chin.
Okay. And what was patush again? The definition?
Oh, duck. It's a duck.
Right.
The duck. So let's look at nunan. So nunan is my mother, right? But I only have one mother, right? So why don't we say our mothers, right? Because we're talking about many. So how would we say our little mothers? Our little mothers. Does anyone want to take a guess? our little mothers. Our little mothers. No? So if one say our, tu, nan, chi, chin. Our little mothers. We're talking about a group. Let me make this smaller. Okay. Can everyone see that? Tu, nan, chi, chin. Now let's look at tsin. How do we make this plural and smaller? So tsin, right? So want to say many of them, but little. Si. We take off the n and add the tsin, and met, right? Another suffix. Let me make this smaller. It's not working. See if you can read this. Perfect. Can you read this? So we have the singular of tatsin, and then we have the plural form of tatsin and smaller. So little tatsins, tatsitsin, met. And the reason why met is in brackets is because in this case, it's optional to use it. You can always add it, no big deal, but it's optional. Okay. So now we're going to move to this one. This one, you do not need to write down. You don't need to write it down, but there's a reason why it is included in this lesson. As you know, there are different variants of the Nahuatl language in El Salvador. There are different variants, and the one that we are studying is from Santo Domingo de Guzman, or known as Huitzapan, okay? When some of our classmates, sometimes they'll look at other sources because, they're studying Nahuatl on their own. They'll check out other books in the libraries in El Salvador and whatnot. And they've come across this. So T in professions, right? The letter T in professions. According to other sources, it says that if you add the letter T, okay, so for example, tamachtiani, we know that tamachtiani means teacher, he who teaches, right? If you add the letter T at the end of tamachtiani, that it makes it plural. Well, that's not how it works in Huitzapan. But we don't know where this rule belongs. It could be talking about a different variant altogether, like I don't know, because I don't know how many variants there are. So again, this is only for your reference. So this rule could belong to another variant, but Tamachtiani thinks that whoever wrote down this rule, because we've had linguists throughout many years who have documented the Nahuatl language, he thinks that maybe they were thinking about verbs, because you know how we were talking about in the beginning with transitive verbs. We said that plurals, right? So it's teheme, it's going to end with the letter T when it's a transitive verb. So Tamachtiani thinks that maybe that's where the confusion is. They meant to talk about a verb, but instead they said, oh yeah, if you just add the letter T to professions, it automatically makes it plural. So again, this is only for your reference. This is only for your reference. We already saw how to make these professions into the plural form, but it's only there for your reference. Okay. So before we finish the class, are there any questions? Are there any questions? No? Okay. So we're going to move to this song. I'm going to play it for you. So this song was written by Nancing Antonia Ramirez. So she wrote this song. Basically, this song has become like the national anthem of Nahuatl speakers, the Nahuatl students. It resonates with all of us, right? Because the name of the song is Nenawe Shujikisa, which means Nahuatl flourishes. And the reason why Tamachtiani is using this song for this lesson is because, as you can see, it has a lot of plurals. has a lot of plurals. So I'm just going to quickly translate the song for you, and we're going to listen to it. And, you can sing along to it if you would like, or just listen to it. Naninaga netahtagamit weli tahtagitsat nawat. I say that men can speak nawat. Nenawa shujikisa, nawat flourishes. Next sentence. Naninagane pipipil weli tatagetsa nawat. I say that children can sing, can speak nawat. Nenawa shujikisa, nawat flourishes. And then it says, Naninagane sisiwatget weli tatagetsa nawat. I say that women can speak nawat. And the song ends with Nenawa shujigisa, which is said 3 times, right? Nawat flourishes. And then it says Nenawat nemi yultuk, which means Nawat is alive. So I'm just going to take off my headphones because I want to make sure that my speaker can pick up the song. So just bear with me for a few seconds. Okay. Can everyone hear me still?
Yes.
Perfect. Okay. So I'm going to play the song. And let me see. Please let me know if you can hear it. Where's the play button? Okay. Okay. Okay, here we go. 1, 2, 3. And again, that song was written by Nancing Antonia Ramirez. And I don't know if some of you knew this already. Sadly, she passed away a few months ago. But she left us such a beautiful legacy, and we remember her through this song. So let's see here. I'm just going to turn my camera on here. Again, if you have any questions, anything that I didn't address, if you can bring your questions on Friday's tutoring session, and we'll go through them together. I want to thank everyone for this opportunity for teaching. It was my first time. Thank you for your patience and your cooperation, and I hope you've enjoyed the class. Does anyone have any questions, comments, any concerns?
I was wondering if we could get the recording of her Nancy Ramirez song.
Absolutely. It's I'm gonna send you, because Tamachtiani played this song in the Spanish version of this class, and that video is already up on YouTube. So I'm gonna send you the link, and all you have to do is scroll towards the end of the class, and you can hear the audio a lot clearer than in my version. So I hope that. And so if no one has any questions, we're going to wrap up, and we're going to see you next week for the last class. Does that work?
Thank you.
Thank you very much, everybody. Take care.
Yawa. Ayush.
Yawa.